Alrighty, this is the more of Irish strong style Riley Rose. You're listening to WrestleHorror podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Wrestle Horror. Greetings, viewers and listeners. Meathook Jim here, their Wrestle Horror podcast. With me, as always, my co-host Donnie Hoover. Donnie's back in the studio, and Pennywise is hanging out behind him. And hey, Donnie, I see a new license plate back there. What's up with that?
Oh yeah, that's one of my prized possessions from this past few weekends. And I say, if you listen to the previous episode, you know all about it. But that's my pride and joy of autographed license plate from my Camp Crystal Lake tour.
And joining us on this episode of Wrestle Horror, he is the more of Irish strong style, Riley Rose. Riley, how are you doing this evening, my friend?
Doing fantastic. I literally just got some food in my stomach, so I'm ready to talk.
Awesome. So we're ready to talk too. So let's talk a little bit about Riley Rose. How did you get your start in this wonderful world we call pro wrestling?
So I got my start in pro wrestling. Should I go with the training or how I first got into wanting to be a pro wrestler?
Why did you want to become a pro wrestler? Let's start there.
Okay. So I wanted to become a pro wrestler ever since I was like 5 years old. So it's kind of always been in the back of my mind. And then I went to WrestleMania 34 and down in New Orleans, and just being around the people there and just experiencing everything and just being able to talk to some of the wrestlers like that were currently on the roster of WWE. It really pushed me to look for a school to go ahead and pursue what I've been wanting to do since I was 5.
Excellent. And who were your heroes growing up?
Growing up, Jeff Hardy, Eddie Guerrero, Edge, and Rey Mysterio. Those were like my top favorite wrestlers. And then also Kane. But yeah, those are definitely, I would have to say my top 5.
Okay.
What was it about Kane that drawed you to him? Was it just the horror gimmick, or was it just his wrestling style? Or
it's the horror gimmick. I've always been like into like the horror movies. Like I was one of those people that didn't watch it to be scared. I watched it honestly for like the storylines, the suspense and stuff like that. So like the story behind Kane and everything really drew me in. So
nice.
Well, imagine that. We've got a pro wrestler that likes horror.
Yeah. That's a novel concept. We should think about that a little bit.
Yeah, somebody should put out a podcast about that stuff. What do you think? So, Riley, okay, so when you started looking, when you decided you wanted to train, where did you start looking to train?
Honestly, I was living down at Nelsonville at the time. So I had a very short list of places to go that weren't too far away because I was still in college. So okay. I had to focus on college. It was my last semester. So I was just really trying to push that out the door first. And I started at a place called PWA down in Lancaster. It was a good place to start, but I knew I was going to outgrow them. And so started there, and then I had to take a year off from deployment. I went overseas because I'm in the Army National Guard. And when I came home, I decided to come up to AIW and started training.
Okay. And who were some of your trainers at AIW?
Dominic Guarini is the main head trainer at AIW. And then also we have Derek Dillinger is also one of the trainers that helps out.
Yeah, very cool. Well, thank you for your service, first off. Yeah, so you mentioned you started at PWA and then moved up north to AIW up in Cleveland. Was that like a big culture shock for you? Because I mean, the with John Thorne and them up in AIW, they have all these super indies and big names that come in and join their team and their roster and all that. So was that kind of like a big shock to you when you figured you'd have to step up your game, or?
I mean, it wasn't really too much of a culture shock. It was more so of like just getting used to their fans. Like their fans it's just like a whole different breed. Like they're into the card from top to bottom, and just getting used to them and how they react to things compared to what the PWA crowd would react to. Mm-hmm. It was awesome to like get that experience. It was more awesome than shock factor wise. You get what I'm saying?
More excitement.
Oh, absolutely.
There you go.
Because that's what you dream about as a kid, is to be able to wrestle in front of more and more people and for them to be into what you are doing. So.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So how long have you been wrestling now? Did you say it had been a couple years or?
Yeah. So coming up in next month, it'll be 3 years.
3 years.
Since my first match.
Nice.
I just celebrated my 3rd year of being a ring announcer.
There you go.
Hey.
So you got broke in at the same time, huh?
Right. So, Riley, you said you've traveled over several states and everything. What has been the biggest match of your career so far?
Oh man. I would have to say, for just me personally, it was a fairground show with School Morton down in Tennessee. Just being around like that many people, like I think there was probably about 300 or 400 people in the crowd, and it was also with one of my good friends that I got to wrestle. So just kind of sharing that moment together and being in front of that many people was awesome. So.
Well, definitely. I mean, I know just watching the talent when I'm ring announcing, the bigger the crowd, the noisier the crowd, the more pumped up you guys get, and it's obvious. I mean, the crowd feeds you, whether you're a heel or a face.
Oh yeah, 100%. And like that's why like the pandemic, like I did a couple of tapings where it was like no crowd tapings, and it was the weirdest thing in the world because like. There was nothing to feed off of.
Right.
It's gotta be weird. I mean, just trying to perform in front of a camera with no crowd. I mean, and I've watched, when AEW did it, Impact did it, WWE did it, but they brought in the Thunderdome thing. But anyway, it has to be an eerie feeling, I would guess.
Oh, and you could tell, like, when they first started doing the no crowd shows in WWE, you could tell when some of the wrestlers were just kind of like off. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
They just wasn't feeling it.
Yeah.
Well, and sadly, one thing I did notice at the beginning anyway is because that crowd noise wasn't there, the talent can't communicate what they're doing next without it being picked up by the microphones.
Oh, especially with WWE. Like, their microphones are immaculate. Like, I noticed that watching, what was it, SummerSlam, yeah. Like, just some of the stuff it was picking up, and I was like, wow, I didn't realize how good those mics were. I mean, it's kind of expected with WWE, but, like, those mics were fantastic. I'm like, I'm picking up everything, and they're probably not even screaming.
I know you guys like it when the crowd's into it and they're cheering everything because it's easier for you two to communicate the next spot or whatnot without anybody noticing or hearing.
Yes, yeah. And I feel like me personally, I feel like I'm decently good at that, which is because it's very a lost art anymore. Like, not a lot of people do it.
Well, that's for sure. I don't know if Donnie mentioned it to you, but he is a former pro wrestler himself.
Yeah, I started back in '97 and went about 5 or 6 years before I had to walk away. So yeah, I got my fair share. I was back in the ECW era. part
Oh,
of it.
wow.
Yeah, so needless to say, I had a lot of blood and guts and that kind of thing when I did it. It's probably why I only lasted 5-6 years. So, but
See,
yeah.
I'm not against that, but you won't catch me doing death matches for
Right.
sure.
Yeah, I say I'm a total 180 now. Like I said, I worked down there with Ian and them down in Mid-South and did all that kind of stuff and did the hardcore and the blood and the gimmick matches and death matches. And then now it's like the New Ohio Wrestling's are, we're family friendly and everything's completely opposite. And it's like just weird. Like I'm a whole different person.
It was 180, like you said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I kind of don't like it. I think that's why I'm into horror and haunted houses so much. So I can get that, quench that bloodthirst or whatever I have.
That bloodthirst, the edge, I get it.
Speaking of horror and haunted houses, you mentioned earlier that you love horror movies. So I'm going to ask you the first question. What's your favorite horror movie?
Ooh, my favorite horror character is Chucky. So kind of like trying to figure out one movie from that series is kind of hard. Okay. I'd have to go Child's Play, honestly. Like, I also love going back and watching those kind of horror movies because, like, the effects that they try to pull, it entertains me.
Okay, so you're more of a fan of the slasher type films. Which Donnie is himself, actually. He's slasher films. I have to digress and say I'm a little bit different from you guys. I like more of the psychological part of it. Don't get me wrong. I love blood and guts in its place, but I think the psychological part of it to me is more terrifying than the physical part that you see in a slasher film. But that's just
everybody's got their different flavors of ice cream they like,
That's absolutely correct. In your career, have you wrestled any horror themed characters?
I want to say yes, but not necessarily super horror like Carver, but like kind of like I'm gonna be real with you, I can't even tell you what their character is because it was like one of those like one match offs and never really seen them again. So but
and how do you feel about certain horror characters that are out there, the ones that are in the indies, the ones that are being televised? I mean, several come to mind. Rosemary in Impact, Abaddon in AEW, The Fiend, who,
R.I.P.
Where's he going to end up next? How do you feel about those type of characters in the business today?
Honestly, like those are the ones that drawed me in the most as a kid. So like now it always draws me in still. Like Abaddon, like I love Abaddon's character. I love The Fiend. Like The Fiend was like, I thought it was the greatest thing going for WWE until they released him. And
until they screwed it up.
As it happens. But yeah, like I've always been a fan of like the Boogeyman, Kane, Undertaker, The Fiend, Abaddon, Rosemary, like all those horror kind of characters.
Did 2020 take its toll on your fitness? Well, body slam the pandemic and get back in shape with Wrestle Fit. This innovative program combines all the fitness regimens you'll need to reach your goals. The Wrestle Fit Workout will bring strength training, cardio, and the world of professional wrestling together in a fun, new, and exciting way. Have yourself a blast working out with dumbbells, kettlebells, slam balls, ropes, tires, and an 18-foot full-size wrestling ring. The Wrestle Fit Workout isn't just for pro wrestlers. The Wrestle Fit Workout is for everybody. At the Now Training Center, you can pursue your fitness goals and learn how to train like a professional wrestler without all the bumps, bruises, and slams. with the Wrestle Fit Workout. Go to www.newohiowrestling.com/training for more information, or stop by the Now Training Center at 625 Eastgate Parkway, Blacklick, Ohio, 43004, Unit 6137.
Well, I can tell you unequivocally that the Boogeyman is fun.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
We got to interview him at a convention down in Indianapolis back in April called Squared Circle Expo.
Oh yeah, I've heard of it.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a great interview. He never broke character.
Mm-hmm.
But we were interviewing another local wrestler named Shauna Reed down here, and Boogeyman snuck up behind me while we were talking to her, and she saw him and lost it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, apparently she had like a childhood fear that we didn't know about of him.
Oh,
So she was like legit shaking, terrified.
She gripped both of our shoulders so hard I thought she was going to break mine. And we got it all. I wish we had it on video. Unfortunately, we got it all in audio though, and it's on one of our episodes.
Mm-hmm.
It was really funny. But to see her react the way she did to the Boogeyman was just hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to look it back and listen to it.
And I got to say right now, Shauna, I know you're probably listening. I love you. It's all in good fun.
And we're going to try to do it again.
Yeah. At the next one.
Yeah.
Poor Shauna.
Actually, I think one of her cohorts at her booth kind of put him up to it, but
Mm-hmm.
Oh. So
Pretty
someone
sure.
was.
yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Drew Skills, but yeah, it was fun. So yeah, it's I love horror. That's all I can say. You know? And I love the fact that, and this is why I'm all over the board. Excuse me. So that's what being a podcast is all about.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But this is why Donnie and I do what we do, because there's such a correlation between wrestling and horror. You know, there's character development, there's costumes, there's the similarity. And you know, you go to a convention, when you go to a horror convention, what do you see at a horror convention besides horror icons? You see pro wrestlers.
Mm-hmm.
So here it is, the WrestleHorror concept, you know. And when we get wrestlers, some wrestlers that we brought on don't really care for horror, but they've been great interviews. People like you that love both are fun because we can talk on both sides of the coin and have a good time. So, you know, thank you for that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You can thank my mom. She's always been the one to watch all the horror movies, and I was just always drawn in and not scared. So
Yeah, that's the way I was. My mom was like a huge sci-fi, like all the cheesy, like Anaconda and all the cheesy animal, overgrown animal zombie things. That was like her thing.
see,
funny.
we watched a lot of the Chucky series and the Final Destinations. Those were another one that we watched all of pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
They definitely come up with some unique ways to die.
Oh yeah. Do you remember there was a show, 1,000 Ways to Die?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I loved that show. Like, and then when they took it away, I was so upset.
That
was
way.
It was like one of my favorite shows. That was all I was going to say.
I watched it, as you know, every episode that came out, I was watching it too, you know, and I was bummed when they took it. It was just fascinating the way people can die.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
They probably ran out of ways for people to die. They couldn't think of any more. So they're like, well, this probably ran this course.
Yeah. I think maybe they reached 1,000 and we didn't know, and then they was just like, yep, that's it.
Yeah, we ain't got nothing else. We're done. Now, do you go to haunted houses and stuff? Do you like haunted houses too?
Oh, I love haunted houses. Like, I love going to, there was a theme park close to where I grew up. I can't remember what it's called. It's in Middletown. It's a big scare theme park.
It's called Land of Illusion.
Land of Illusion. Yes,
Mhm.
yes. Worth all my money. Like we would go through all 5 trails, and it was like almost like every year, like after high school, every year we went pretty much.
Nice.
Okay.
But now that I'm living in Cleveland, now I got to find some new ones. So
7 Floors of Hell at the Cleveland Fairgrounds.
Isn't Crazy Bob and them up there near Cleveland?
Crazy Bob's in Fremont.
Fremont?
Yeah, it's near Sandusky.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's several up in that area. I can probably get you some good leads on some haunts up in that area.
Please do, because it's getting pretty close to that time.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Sneaking up.
They start opening here in a few weeks.
I'm so excited. I cannot wait.
We're talking to a retired haunted house actor, so.
See, I got to go with a group of people because I'm not the one that be jump scared. So, like, I'm the one in the back laughing,
Mhm.
but also admiring the work. Like, oh, that was good. Or when they do get me, I'm like, all right, that was really good. I applaud you on that one.
Yep. That's usually my role.
So, did you grow up in Middletown?
No, I actually grew up in Springfield, Ohio.
Okay.
But I went to high school over in New Carlisle. So.
I only ask because I live in Hamilton.
Hamilton? Okay, yeah. I early in my career when I was like, I think maybe a couple months in, I was wrestling down in Hamilton. Like I was wrestling like 2 places, and it was, well, not Hamilton, but Franklin. I was wrestling in Franklin, and I was wrestling in Lancaster.
Okay, Franklin would be Legends of the Squared Circle, right?
No, it was ICW, XVW. They changed their names a couple times. I don't know what it is. So.
All right. I'm just curious when you mentioned Middletown because, Land of Illusion's like half hour up the road.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would take I think it was like 45-minute drive. So.
Okay. Cool. So, Donnie,
Mhm.
any other questions before the question?
Well, yeah, let's say with wrestling training and stuff, you said you've trained a couple different places, and I'm sure you've attended a lot of seminars because AIW, brings in a lot of people for seminars. And what's your one big takeaway from that you've picked up, like your big aha from pro wrestling that you could share with other wrestlers out there?
So the biggest aha that I picked from any of the seminars was actually one that I did recently with Sanjay Dutt. It was about, I want to say like 3 weeks ago. Just put in what you want in the end of this. Like if you're working to go to WWE, well, then work on your character, work on your promos. If you're looking to go overseas, then do what you need to do to make it over there. If you just want to be a local guy, by all means, be a local guy. So that was like one of my biggest aha takeaways. It was just kind of like, whatever your end goal is, work towards it, because it will help you in the long run.
Right, that makes sense. Like you said, if you want to go overseas, then you kind of just like research what they look for and then kind of work toward that. So yeah. That's great advice.
Yeah, like that's my end goal. Like I'm not a WWE guy. I've seen what they do with guys my size. So
Right.
I'm wanting to go to Japan. Like that's my biggest end goal, is to go overseas to Japan. So like a lot of my things I work on is like facials, like selling, just like another thing that he pointed out was like, it was kind of like what he said was your side cameras are as important as the hard cam. So like just kind of like working on giving enough facial or passion or expression for that side cam so they can pick that up, kind of ordeal. Because Sanjay's works with AEW on the production side. So
right. Yeah, also good advice.
Yeah.
So, all right, yeah. So I think it's about time to lay the question on him. So we're gonna
The
go ahead.
question.
Yeah, the question. So we ask everybody that we have come on, and there's no right or wrong answer. We just like to get inside people's brains and see how they think. So, and the question is, you are the main serial killer in your own horror film. What is your go-to kill?
Go-to kill. So if I was a horror film character, I'd have to say my go-to kill would have to be by being sneaky with a machete. So just kind of being quiet and silent, and then just sneaking up behind, and then just however I kill them, I kill them.
There you go.
That would be my scenario with horror films, and it kind of just goes back to Chucky, you know.
All right.
In a way.
So you got the sneaking up on them like Chucky, and then the machete like Jason. So there you go, mixing them
Exactly.
together.
Well, once again, never a duplicate answer, and I like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool.
Original.
I love the fact that they're all original, and one of these days I'm gonna have to go back to our archives and listen to every one of them.
Yeah, make notes.
It's so I know how to get rid of my wife when I'm tired of her.
I'm sure. I think Terry probably takes notes and put them on her bucket list for me.
Oh, goodness gracious, to the podcast. She'll end up listening to this one, right? Just because.
Right.
But anyway, how can people find out more about you, Riley? Social media, maybe some promoters out there want to book you. What's the best way to get more about Riley Rose?
So the best way to contact me is at Wild Irish Riley Rose Booking at yahoo.com. And I will have resumes up. I have highlight videos to send out. Or you can contact me on Facebook under Riley Rose. Twitter and Instagram is Real Riley Rose for both of them. So
Excellent.
Any of those ways, I'm always constantly getting notifications for those. So
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm easy to contact.
Well, Riley, it's been great having you on the show. In spite of the technical difficulties, we'll edit it all together. You'll never hear it.
It never happened, right?
It never happened. But we just said it did. So I'll have to edit this out too. But if you're looking to book Riley, check out his email. If you want to know more about him, check out his social media. Maybe we can get you down to New Ohio Wrestling sometime, Donnie.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to talk about it for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
And with that being said, my name is Meathook Jim with my co-host Donnie Hoover and our special guest Riley Rose. We are the WrestleHorror Podcast, and we will catch you on the next episode.
See you guys.
All right.
Thanks for listening. Make sure you follow us on all of our social media outlets: Facebook.com/WrestleHorror, Instagram @WrestleHorror, Twitter @WrestleHorror, on YouTube at the WrestleHorror channel. And you can also find us on our website, www.WrestleHorror.com.